Okay. That's a DOS word. Okay. Try that one. Das Besteck.
Das Besteck.
Okay. So this in general kind of covers all sorts of silverware and things like that. This isn't, like the silverware and the fork, knife, spoon and all that kind of stuff isn't in the textbook, but there's no other point that you will be taught it. So I figured this was a good time to teach it to you. Okay. I didn't learn it until I was in college, if that tells you anything. Okay. So these are important words to know, right? Like you kind of need them. Okay. So I'll let you know which ones will appear on the test, but you should know these anyway. Okay. Try that one. Das Messer.
Das Messer.
Anybody know what that is? Fork. It's a knife. Cut it up. Makes a mess. As simple as that, yeah? Okay. Try that one. Der Löffel. Anybody know that one? Spoon. Yeah, the O will help you remember that it's a spoon. It's I like this one. Try that one. Die Gabel.
Die Gabel.
And that is a fork. Yeah, you gobble food up with a fork, right? Gobbled it up with a gobble. Oh boy. Okay. Anybody take French in here before? No converts. Okay. Try that one. Die Serviette.
Die Serviette.
Napkin. It's the same as the French word. That's why I wondered. Becca, who sits next to you?
Kayla.
All right. Try that one. Der Teller.
Der Teller.
That is a plate. Try that one. Die Schüssel.
Die Schüssel.
This is a bowl. Word of warning, though. People often get it confused with this one.
Why?
Because there's an L in there. Schlüssel and Schüssel. They're very, very similar sounding. Schlüssel is the word for a key. So be careful on that one. Do you remember the word for glass? You learned it yesterday? We went over it real quick. Das Glas. Everybody, das Glas.
Das Glas.
The plural becomes die Gläser, so I'll just rewrite it for you. There is only the one S in German. Try that one. Die Tasse.
Die Tasse.
Remember that one? It's a cup or a mug. Try der Becher.
Der Becher.
That's a cup or a tumbler. It's a plastic kind of things. It's also used for ice cream. So it's an ice cream dish. Okay. Try that one. Full.
Full.
Okay. It does mean full, but not when you are full. Like, so it's not for people. Okay. So you could say that the dish is full, for example, but a person isn't. Does that make sense?
What would it be for a person?
We'll get there. Try that. Leer.
Leer.
Okay. It means empty. If you wanted to say, if you're one of those half full, half empty kind of people, you have the word halb in front of it. So halb full, halb leer. Okay, so you've seen that one before. Okay, so you could say halb, for example. So, yeah. Okay, so everybody try that one. Halb.
Halb.
Try it. Sorry, I was thinking of the word that it sounded like. Sauber.
Sauber.
Okay. Sauber means magician, or like magic. Sauber means clean. Don't worry about it. Try that one. Schmutzig.
Schmutzig.
What do you think that means? Dirty. Yep. I don't know why I stopped writing them on underneath. Here we go. All right. Back to the previous question. Ich kann Englisch gut heute. Try that. Ich bin satt.
Ich bin satt.
That's the word that you would use when you say that you are full. So you could say, ich bin popsatt, means like you're full to the point of bursting, like popping, right? Ich bin popsatt. All right. So, first verb today is essen. Anybody know what essen means? To eat, yes, good. This one's irregular. Got the Oklahoma okay thing going on. So all of them in Oklahoma are fine. Okay. So how would you conjugate it for ich? Esse. Good. Now we're going to skip over and do the rest of the regular part. So wir, essen, ihr, esst, and sehen Sie, essen. Okay. The two that are irregular in this case happen to be exactly the same. Because for the do, you've got the S set, so you're not going to add another S to it. And it is an S set as opposed to two S's because of the vowel sound that it follows. Okay, so ISS, and you're going to add your T as normal. Okay, so try that. Ist.
Ist.
Okay. And erst man, you add your T normally anyway, so they look the same. Okay. Our other verb for today is very similar. It's fressen. Okay. Try that, fressen.
Fressen.
Does anybody know this one? It's another to eat, but it's used for animals. Okay? So you can use this when you're talking about how an animal would eat, or if you're using it as an insult. Okay? So you can say, oh, you know, instead of just saying, you are eating that, you know, strangely or something. If you simply said, like, what are you eating in English, or in German? Wow. Braining's hard today. So if you just said, was isst du, what are you eating? That's just a normal, like somebody's eating something, you're actually concerned about, not concerned, but curious about what it is that they're eating. If you said, was, and then you use the verb fressen, and then du, then you're implying that they are eating it in some sort of crude manner or very quickly or something. There's something negative about how they're doing it. Does that make sense? Okay. So, this one is the Oklahoma okay thing as well. So, ich fresse. Try that. Ich fresse.
Ich fresse.
On the right side's normal too, so wir fressen, ihr fresst, Sie fressen. Johnny, kannst du bitte die Tür zumachen? Kannst du bitte, danke. Dankeschön. So you notice this part up here? Does that look familiar? Yeah. So essen and fressen, the only difference is there's two letters at the beginning of it. Otherwise it conjugates the same way. So it was ist before, so now it's frisst. Make sense? So was frisst du? Do another verb here. Okay, everybody try trinken.
Trinken.
What do you think trinken means? To drink, yep. This one's nice and normal. Okay, so you tell me how to conjugate it. Ich, what? Trinke. Du? Trinkst. Er, sie, es, ein Mann. How do you say it? Trinkt. Give me a second to catch up here. All right, right side, wir, what? Ear? And Z. You got it. All right. So moving on here. How would you ask, what are you eating? Friendly-wise, not insult-wise. Was. And then?
Ist.
Ist. The do is already in, or the are, or the do is already in the other verb. All right. So was ist. And then? Du. Okay, everybody try that together. Was isst du?
Was isst du?
You could also use it to ask, what are you going to eat? Like if you're about to order with somebody at a restaurant or something, you could use that same phrase. Okay, so it works for both.
What if we were to say, like, what are we having?
Then it would be, what are we having? So then how would you say, what are we eating? Was? Sure. Was essen wir? Yeah. So then you could say, what are we going to eat? Was essen wir? What are we eating? What are we going to eat? Okay. You might be asked that same question at a restaurant, but they would use the formal. So how would you ask that same question using the formal? Was? There you go. Was essen? Big S or little s? Big. Good. So what are you eating, or what are you going to eat? A waiter or a waitress might also ask you that, like, what are you going to have, in a couple different ways. So these won't be on the test, but they're good things to know. Okay? So a waiter might use simply bitte. They'll come up to your table and they will have their little notebook or whatever in hand, and they will simply say, bitte. And that's your cue to tell them what you would like. Okay? Or they could say, was essen Sie? They could also say, was möchten Sie? What would you like? Another one would be, was darf's sein? It's like saying, what'll it be? Okay. So any of those work. They might have a couple other ways that they would ask the same thing as well. Okay. Yep.
Do some of them like speak English, but like if English like people like common like they don't know German, but they could just like to Germany like some of the way you like still know English.
Most of the people who are, I would say, at this point probably under the age of 50 have taken English at some point. How well they speak it, who knows. You'll find people who are older than 50 who speak it perfectly fine too. It is usually the first foreign language that they learn, and it's a requirement that they have multiple languages. So odds are good you're going to be okay. The other thing that's interesting over there, and if you've ever been to, I know some Chinese restaurants around here do the same thing, or like Thai restaurants, whatever, they number their menu items. That's a very common thing to do throughout Europe. So frequently, if you're looking at a thing going, Sauerbraten mit Knödeln, you know, and I don't know how to say that. If you learn your numbers really well, you just say, Nummer 55 bitte, you know, and then they get you a number 55, and they know what that is, and they move on. So learning numbers is also important for that aspect, so you also don't get overcharged and all that good stuff.
You could also just point to it too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can too.
So in Germany, kind of like how we like focus on grammar for English here, since we already know it, do they kind of do the same in German?
Yep, their German class is the same as your English class. Mm-hmm. Okay, back to other things. So all of those are ways to ask for the order. Yep.
What's the word for like waiter and waitress?
Kellner or Kellnerin. Yeah, if you're interested, the word for a waiter, a guy is Kellner, and a girl, you add the IN. No, that's hence if you're interested, you don't need to know that one. Oh, is it in the book? Okay, well there you go then.
I don't think it's only a question.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's in the Actualis section, so it's, yeah. All right. Okay, so was gibt's? Let me try that. Was gibt's means what is there or what are there. Okay, so what is? Okay. So what is there? The next two, instead of saying for, they use the word zum. Okay, try that zum. Okay, it's kind of like Zoom, but with its, yeah. The second word is Frühstück. Try that, Frühstück. Does anybody know what that is? Breakfast, yeah. So, was gibt's zum Frühstück? So, what is there for breakfast? Hmm? The other meals. Okay, so all of the meals are going to have that zum, if you're saying for. Okay. Try that one. Zum Mittagessen. So midday eating or midday food, right? It's lunch. Okay. Or you could put in there Abendessen, evening meal or evening food, right? Try that one, Abendessen.
Abendessen.
Okay, so that's dinner or supper, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes they will call that evening meal. We talked about this yesterday. Especially if it's their smaller meal of the day. They'll call it Abendbrot. Okay? So evening bread. So that's another word for dinner, but it's the smaller meal. Actually. All right. Talking about how to pay. Okay. So in Germany, and in most of Europe, if you are at a restaurant, once you are seated, first of all, you just go up and you find your table. You aren't waiting for somebody to seat you. Okay? If the place is full, you might end up sharing a table with somebody, and that's normal, completely and utterly normal. Okay? You ask if those seats are free, and then you sit down. But you're not going to stand there waiting if there's a table that could seat 6 and there's only 2 people, and you're another group of 2 or 4 or whatever. So you just go up and you ask and you sit down next to them. Okay? So it's totally common. But when you are eating, you unlike here where, like if you go to Applebee's or something like that, and you sit down and you get your food, and then as you're cutting your first bite, like you haven't actually tasted it yet, they come back up to see how the first bites were. You know what I'm talking about? That doesn't happen over there. And then those same people in America keep coming back over and over and over, and they never let you really enjoy your meal. And then you get your check long before you're done. No rush, but you know that's not true. They just want to flip the table and get somebody else in there, right? In Germany, you will sit there at your table until you ask for the check. They're not going to come give it to you otherwise. Right? So you need to ask for it, so it's important to know that phrase. Yep. So a couple different ways to do it. Okay, try that one. Zahlen bitte.
Zahlen bitte.
Literally you're saying, pay please. Okay. It's just indicating that you would like to pay now. Okay. Try that one. Die Rechnung bitte. Okay. So Rechnung is the word for a bill. So a bill or check. If you're with more than one person, they're going to ask you if you want to pay zusammen. Okay, try that. Zusammen.
Zusammen.
That means pay together. Or if you want to pay getrennt. Okay, try that. Getrennt. So together or separate. They do everything by hand, so they aren't going to be going to a register and reprinting a bill or anything like that. They will go down their little thing that they wrote up when you ordered and repeat back to you exactly what you had personally ordered, tell you the amounts, and they'll tell you the total, and then you pay them, usually in cash. Credit cards are not usually as, they're not as widely accepted, and there are more fees and stuff for them, so Germany is very much a cash society. So then you would pay, and they move on to the next person. So they carry around the huge wallet things because they have so many coins for their currency that they have separate sections for each of the kinds of coins. So they have a separate one for a €2 coin, and one for a €1 coin, or like a super big one for all of the coins, and it takes them a while to sort through it. Okay. If you are looking to get your total, they will say something like, das macht, and then the number. Like, das macht €5. So that means that comes to, and then however much, so €5. Okay. If you want to give them a tip, that also works a little bit differently. So the word for tip is Trinkgeld. Everybody try that. Trinkgeld.
Trinkgeld.
Okay, so that's a tip. You round it up. Okay. Okay, so if it was, for example, if your total was $18.50, with tip, your bill is now €19. And that's it. If it's pretty close, or they did an amazing job, you might give them an extra euro or two or something like that. But for the most part, you're just rounding it up. Their wait staff is paid at a higher rate than ours are, so they don't rely on the tips. It's already part of their regular payment. Does that make sense? Okay. So how you tip them then, if it was 19, you could either give them exact change and say, stimmt schon, which is rough. It's our equivalent of saying keep the change. So everybody try that. Stimmt schon.
Stimmt schon.
Okay. Literally, it is correct already. That's what you're telling them. So the amount that you give them is correct already. Okay. If it's not exact change, then you tell them how much to keep. So if you want them, including tip, to keep 19, so if your bill was $18.50, you routed it up to 19, that's what you want, you will tell them the number, 19, and that's what they're keeping. So it's not how much you're getting back, or anything like that, or how much extra tip to give them or whatever. It's the total. You just give them the one number. But you never leave money on the table. It goes directly in the hands of the waitstaff. Okay? So again, if it was $18.50 was your bill, then you would say 19. Does that make sense?